Yeah, and the F-A... I'm trying to be smart and can't spell it. The FAEUX news.
Not the fakes, but the fakes works too.
No, if we don't do it right now, Lord Jesus, another election's gonna come around and we still gonna be in La La Land.
I mean, I have to say, I just have lost the ability to give a shit about the Democratic Party.
We gotta talk about this Biden set of interviews.
I was wondering if his dad was trying to punish the system and punish him through the crime bill.
The biggest drug dealer in the marketplace was the United States government.
Breonna Taylor's killer, Brett Hankinson, was sentenced to 33 months in prison for killing a Black woman.
They murdered with impunity because they have a license to kill.
At some point, I want you to be scared about putting your hands on Black bodies.
We have to be righteously indignant this time and every time, because say their names mean the names keep changing.
Politics as usual is gone. It is politics is as unusual AF. Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media.
Welcome
home, y'all. This is episode 89 of Native Land Pod, where we give you our breakdown of all things politics and culture. We got some good topics today. And we are your hosts, Angela Rye, Tiffany Cross, and Andrew Gillum. What y'all got today?
Well, I don't know if it's a good topic, but a sad topic that I want to talk about is the tragic, untimely passing of Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who we grew up with as Theo. And I've been seeing all the tributes pour in, so I definitely want to share some reflections on his life and what he meant to us.
And I'll join you in that. Angela, Tiffany, we got to talk about this Biden set of interviews. Not Joe Biden, but his son, Hunter. What's he talking about? I think y'all want to stay tuned to hear what he's had to say lately.
He's definitely said some things. So we've been saying for many years now, say her name in reference to Sandra Bland, and then, of course, to Breonna Taylor and so many others. Where I'm from in Seattle, Charlena Lyles. But an officer was finally sentenced related to the shooting death of Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky. This week, we'll also discuss that.
Okay, Theo, here's another question for you. What was Prometheus's punishment for bringing fire to man?
He was chained to a boulder.
You know, it's exciting to be so near to a great mind.
Well, could you get a little nearer to my great mind?
That was, of course, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who tragically passed away this week in Costa Rica. He was there on vacation with his wife and daughter. And, you know, this, I think this death hit us all in such a way because of what the Cosby Show meant to Black life here in America, to everybody, but more closely to us. It was interesting even watching the media this morning because Ozzy Osbourne also passed away. And you saw on a lot of the morning shows, it was all these like long tributes and interviews over Ozzy Osbourne. And I think so many of us in Black America thought, man, we lost someone who was a member of an institution this week. The interesting thing to me, and I'm sure it's true for you guys, the Cosby Show had such a large audience in the 80s. Every Thursday, they would capture 50% of the TV viewing audience. Now, you don't get those kind of numbers anymore. Super Bowl doesn't even get those kind of numbers anymore.
Not at all.
Yeah, so 50% of the people who had televisions were tuned into the Cosby Show. And we could just drop things like Gordon Gartrell and the dance he used to make and all the things that he, the classic timeless memories that he gave us. And I know so many, it hit me, it makes me sad. But Andrew in particular, I know so many Black men or even Angela, like with the Black men we know, I know so many Black men who said this death struck them so hard.
Yeah.
Like they're like, my whole day
of
was
our generation.
Yeah. So I'm curious how the death struck you guys.
I think that one, I just want to comment on the type of person that Malcolm-Jamal Warner was. I didn't have the privilege of being very close to him, but every time we had an interaction or an exchange, he was always so uplifting, so encouraging, always, good job, sis, just really, really for the people. And it feels like he really loved life. I am devastated for his young family. I feel so badly that that is what is happening for them. And then to be on a family vacation, getting away from this crazy country right now, to be trying to be free and then to end up with a different kind of freedom that traumatizes your loved ones is just a lot. I will say what's been interesting to me are the number of Black men who I know in their late 40s, early 50s who are like, oh my God, like there's something about his death and his passing that makes the unknown of life really come to terms for them in a lot of ways. So I empathize with our dear brothers, but also for us, because this is tough, and it does feel like someone we grew up with, that whole family on air. It feels like you grew up with them. So it does feel like a part of us is gone at a time where we need to cling on to everything that feels really good.
Yeah. Tiffany, your comments about how television has been treating his legacy at this time, it actually saddens me because his impact is so outsized. I think people really, really ignore that at their own, embarrassment, that white households, brown, Black households, but of course, as you said earlier, specifically us. I mean, this was one of the first Black American families that white people got introduced to by way of helping to shape their update on the diversity and the dimensions of Black folks. That we're not what you see in the evening reel. We're that plus so much more that can't be captured. And I just, you mentioned it feels like a family member, somebody we're close to. He actually had this spirit about him that made you feel like you knew him, everybody's friend, if you will, and an enemy to none, but also a very strong, unapologetic brother who allowed his emotions not to lead him, but he led them, and then was so open and increasingly transparent with us before it was hip to share what his mental state was, how he was doing, what post Cosby life was like, what it meant to have all syndications stripped from television for a period of time, and how you negotiate that space. I mean, just so incredible. And I'm with you. The loss of a dad, a young dad, a husband and a father, it really made me feel this weekend. And my brother sent me a text, along these lines. It just made me really reflective of life. Because Malcolm-Jamal Warner felt like he was of our age group, and in many ways really is. And we saw ourselves reflected in him on TV as he grew up. So rest in peace and power, brother.
Yes. Angela rightfully pointed out before we came on air that he didn't want to just be known as Theo, which I imagine is challenging if everyone sees you and they always see Theo. So he went on, of course, to play a lot of other roles. And what many of you may know is he was quite the accomplished spoken word artist, even a Grammy winner behind it. So we want to close out this segment with a few spoken words from Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Rest in power.
Before you get up out of here, would you mind doing a poem?
This piece is Asante Sana. Abadigani, comrade. What, you still on that freedom shit? Word? Well, yeah, you know me in this poetry, we still be on that weedum shit. That birthing inspirational couplets and breedum shit. That I spit, cat should heed 'em shit. That words can't break my bones, but if you cut me, Holmes, I bleed 'em. Shit. Atonement for the masses of hard asses and heads that tread on civil liberties in the most uncivilized of fashion is said to be dead. Can we afford to be dumb for free? See, that's the question I'm asking as I beg for an ounce of truth amongst the aloof surrounding me. We, descendants of stolen legacies, children of ancestors who cannot be broken, birthers and bearers of a culture that has been repeatedly robbed and ransacked to feed the spiritually famine like a Black woman's bosom. We who become a pre-existing condition simply because we pre-exist. We who realize we are worthy. We are the guardians. We are the gardeners. We are the soil, we are the toil, we are the protectors of our seeds who need to be protected, who need to see true love and Black excellence redirected, not through fame and fortune, but redirected through character and deed. And indeed, it is those who stand on the front line, fighting for the minds of our young, Black and gifted. It is you who are an inspiration to me, because you are the revolution we do not see on TV. Asante Sana.
Well, the only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat, literally.
That's it?
That's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar of cocaine and baking soda.
How different is the experience?
It's vastly, vastly different. And like for real, I feel really reluctant to kind of have some euphoric discussion. I know you're not asking me to do that, but have some euphoric discussion about crack cocaine.
I think this might be kind of the opposite here.
Okay, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm saying I don't want to have the experience of some euphoric recall. That's how powerful crack cocaine is. My point about it, your point about it, which I think is true, is that there's a thing about crack that is really insidious. And what it is that anytime, I think one of the reasons that they believe that smoking cigarettes is so addictive is because it combines three really important things. It's habit forming, there is an oral fixation, and there is a ritual combined with it. You have your cigarette in the morning, you have your cigarette when you get out of the car, you have your cigarette with your coffee. Crack is that on steroids. This is like a PSA. If you want to completely, utterly up your life, I don't think that anything is necessarily, you do it once, you're addicted. But there's about the closest thing that statement could be true would be with crack cocaine.
In this segment, he's going through this journey. A lot of people are like, he's trying to recruit people into crack cocaine. And I don't think that's true at all. What I think is, one, Hunter Biden is so damn brilliant, number one. Number two, hearing him say, I'm not trying to have a euphoric conversation about it because of where it will send him, I think is so responsible. And then three, I really appreciated what he said at the end about it's a PSA. And I'm just saying this because hopefully we end up cutting it, 45 seconds in. I think that it's smart to just say, this is what it was. This is the single difference. And I got to tell y'all, when I was watching this, my immediate thought was, I wonder if he was already having experiences with crack when the crime bill came out. And the reason why I thought that is because he talks to Jamie, which I know we're also going to play some podcast clip from, about his father being really, really strict. People think that his dad was anything goes because of the trauma they experienced. But he says, it was quite the opposite. So I was wondering if his dad was trying to punish the system and punish him through the crime bill. Doesn't justify what happened. But I was fascinated by it because of the very simple distinction that many of us have heard of, studied, know about between crack and cocaine. But the way he explained it, it immediately sent me to, I wonder if that's what happened with the crime bill.
Interesting.
Well, I think a lot of people had that same. I don't think it's even exclusive to Joe Biden, who was in the Senate at the time. I think a lot of people, including people in the Black community, to your point, Angela, felt enraged at what was happening in our communities. And sadly, we look to the system that was destroying us to self-correct when the system was functioning as it was intended. The biggest drug dealer in the marketplace was the United States government. So just when it was intended for us, but then when it got to white kids, that's when it was a problem. But I just like to remind people, because everyone's so mad about the crime bill, and it's listen, those of us who are old enough remember Black folks were right out there on that crime bill. Black mamas and grandmamas were right there. So we have to kind of reconcile with that decades later. you know, and it was desperation because I genuinely, when he's talking about it, I feel bad for him. Because when you consider how crack cocaine came to be, it's like you're coming out of the 70s and cocaine was like this party drug and people were still smoking weed. And in the 80s, people are like, oh, I got something like weed, like smoke this and see if you like it. So you had regular, everyday people smoke something once and it hooked them. It got their claws in them and they couldn't function without it. And that created a generation of loss and killing and robbery. So I have an incredible amount of empathy for him. And I wonder how it would have been had we met the crack cocaine addiction with the same empathy we did the opioid crisis, with the same targeting of the dealers. You know, the Sackler family is persona non grata anywhere, yet the U.S. government continues its ill practices. The CIA continues to function. The CIA never really, because they were selling drugs to support their political ambitions in Central America, they still do the same shit all the time because it disproportionately impacted us. So I feel bad. I don't want people to make fun of Hunter Biden in this interview. You know how we did with Whitney and crack is whack and all that stuff. And it's like, man, these people really suffer from this. So I have an incredible amount of empathy for him and Joe Biden. Because I even hearing that, I imagine Joe Biden even listening to that, it has to hurt him after losing Beau, after losing his wife and sons. Like, he's just seen a lot of tragedy. And a lot of Black people confronted a lot of tragedy because of the drug and also because of the crime bill that we are still confronting. We are still dealing with the fallout from the crime bill, and the remnants of it are resurfacing. So, well, I actually would be okay hearing the clip in its entirety, but
yeah,
I'm fine with that. You want to play the next?
Well, before we do that, I wanted to flag to Tiff's point. Yes, Joe Biden was in the Senate when the crime bill was passed. He also authored it. So that was my point. And I would say this too, that yes, there were a ton of Black families, but we didn't hear about the white ones. We didn't hear, when you turn on news at nighttime during this era, all you saw were Black people. And crackheads, a crackhead image is the image of someone Black.
Yes.
You never saw a white.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm
Very
saying,
true.
like, to me, that is the phenomenon here.
Part of the government media conspiracy.
Exactly. They were
right?
in on
To
it
brand
together.
That's exactly right.
Absolutely.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
To brand it a certain way, and poor people in Appalachia and all the states that those great mountains touch are suffering in the shadows. I mean, hunger pains, addiction, obviously, death, suicide, you know, people at a stoplight and overdosing. I mean, the American carnage on American streets during that period of time may have been whitewashed in those moments. But if you paid at all any attention to local news at night, you saw the sirens and you saw some of the most horrific images that, you know, my mind still won't forget, where people literally appear comatose and almost under some spell, walking, you know, out loud, but vacant, you know, in their person. I mean, it was a horrible time, and this country treated the victims of that addiction crisis horribly. And again, I think it goes to show, and we already know this, that, you know, certain faces inure certain reactions. You know, those poor kids from Somalia that were on our television screens as kids, you know, could hardly compare to the one orphan white child, you know, set beside them during the commercial break. We had empathy. We had care. That person, that white baby was human. And, you know, those Black babies looking emaciated, all they want is some food, rice, right? Water. And, you know, that's what those people deserve.
Yeah. So the other thing I want to just get into. So again, for those of you who don't know, we jumped right into the crack. We didn't say that was Hunter Biden. We did. We really did.
We jumped right into the crack.
He jumped right into
crack.
it.
Well,
We were just
somebody
responding.
clip that, please.
Yeah, we jumped right into the crack, but we didn't say that that's Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden. And he's talking about his experience with crack cocaine, but he also talked about a lot more in this interview. One clip in particular has to do with the candidate, the Democratic Party's candidate, from this past November, Kamala Harris. I want to roll that clip.
Only person that he would ever endorse out of the gate, because he chose her as his vice president. There's no choice in that. And by the way, I love Kamala Harris. I think that she would have made an incredible president. I know that she was an incredibly loyal vice president. And she did everything that she could to support my dad. Everything. And to support me and my family, personally. I mean, I truly love her like family. And I think that she would have made an incredible president. And I think she ran an incredible campaign. You know who did not want Kamala Harris to be president and did not want her to be the nominee? Nancy Pelosi didn't want her to be. None of Nancy Pelosi's people wanted her to be. They wanted an open convention. They wanted a floor fight. They wanted I don't know what the hell they wanted, but they wanted to be the ones to anoint whoever they were going to anoint to become the next president of the United States.
Who do you think that would have been?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't have any idea. All I know is that they definitely did not want Kamala Harris. And again, which undermined her, which undermined the campaign. You know, I mean, I look at these people and talk about like, well, where were they? We had 100 days. She got 100. She literally was handed $100 million check. She ran her ass off. She had an incredible organization, incredible grassroots organization. David Plouffe took over the campaign. You know, what did they do?
Well, I didn't realize that was in the same clip as the Nancy Pelosi clip, but yes, I actually.
Brother had a lot on his mind.
Let's run this other clip back to back so we could just deal with all this at once. But let's go ahead and read the clip from Jamie Harrison's new show, new podcast, where he also interviews Hunter Biden, and he talks about this nomination process.
Because there were some people who wanted Joe Biden to step down, but they didn't want Kamala Harris either.
Yeah, we know who they are.
Yeah, they did not want Kamala Harris as well. They were already planned.
Should I name them?
I mean,
no.
At our table, you can.
But you're right. Okay, and I look, Jamie, you can attest to this. If not anything, Joe Biden is loyal.
Yes.
Is loyal.
He's loyal.
So I don't ever want to say anything on that. It's like I'm speaking on his behalf.
No, I understand.
Because my dad wouldn't say an ill word, regardless.
Yeah.
Of how wronged he was, and you know it.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean his son can't feel it sometimes. And like I said, I'll say it over and over. I say it just one more time to make certain that it's clear. I love President Obama.
Mm-hmm.
I love what he achieved for this country. I respect and honor what the people that worked for him were able to achieve in the 8 years that he was president. And I feel the same about Speaker Pelosi and the people that have tirelessly worked on her behalf and her staff and her family to allow her to achieve the things that she's achieved on behalf of millions and millions of Americans. Okay? I would only ask this, is that they show the same respect to my dad.
So
Wow.
I thought we should get into that because one, you already saw him name names on the other clip.
Yeah.
And there's something, I don't know how y'all feel watching this, but for me, one, again, I want to applaud his intelligence, his candor. He's like, I'm going to try. You can see him trying to kind of do right by Jamie on that interview because he's like, I know.
Yeah, he was only considerate of Jamie there. Had he been,
and his dad.
Left his own devices. Well, I mean, I think he said more in that initial interview, which is how we could tell his hedging, was in effect, probably toward the protection of Jamie more than anything, because he seems extremely clear-eyed about what went down.
Yeah.
Even though he was going through his rut row on his own, personal trial, a prosecution that should never have been bought, by the way, in my humble opinion, never before used statute in the history of the statute against Hunter Biden. But anyway, I applaud the brother for being so clear-headed. I just, being in recovery, facing his demons, head on. I kept thinking to myself, what was he thinking with that whole drug rant? Why was he giving it? And I'm actually really curious because his intention certainly was not to recruit more users, but he was processing something through his mind that I think is probably pretty fascinating if we knew the backstory to it. But, I wish him well, and I appreciate, y'all remember, we got some heat for going down this road about Obama's tone. And we didn't really dig much into Nancy Pelosi. But I had shared in one of our earlier episodes, this really long form piece that I saw written that, I attributed at the time to basically, the Obama folks, the Obama people, which doesn't mean he directed them. But, there's loyalty there. I think Hunter Biden was dead on. And I hope that both the individuals he was speaking to heard him and will take note, because the disrespect that they have shown, I think Joe Biden is pretty shameful and is a good reason why a lot of Democrats don't think other Democrats are loyal. Last people to have our back.
I think the thing that I would flag for you is he named Barack Obama. He named Nancy Pelosi. He named Nancy Pelosi in the other piece. The other thing that you'll see if you guys go back and watch the interview with Jamie, he blasts Pod Save America at least 3 times. And I think what's fascinating about that to me is he really saw that as people who he talks about where they live and how out of touch they are in, Beverly Hills or Bel Air homes, and how that same, like the donor class basically decided the election. And he feels like his dad was trying to save the party over himself. That's his perception. But I think what is, again, refreshing to me right now is nobody is willing to call a thing. Like even in this upcoming autopsy for the Democratic Party, put Hunter Biden's ass on there, so that there can be an honest assessment about what is. Now, whether or not I agree with him about his dad should have stayed in the election, I don't, right? But I think that the point is you can have a debate in earnest and a discussion in earnest with someone who's willing to be intellectually honest about what is. So that's what I wanted to bring forth to y'all. Is that the energy that the Democratic Party needs to lean into right now, because he is irreverent and he is clear and he is telling the truth about what is. At this point, he's like, what in the hell do I have to lose?
That's right.
I mean, I have to say, I just have lost the ability to give a shit about the Democratic Party. And that's not to say, because I think people misunderstand that when we have these discussions, and they think that me and Angela catches strays for this, even though sometimes I'm the person who said it and people just, start, I can't believe Angela said that. And I'm like, that was me. But I'm not saying this means we lay down and die. I'm not saying we won't do everything we can to show up and vote during midterms. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that we will not be part of the resistance. I'm saying the party as a structure. Like, I think what we're talking about is such minutia. Like most people don't even know about the Hunter Biden interview. That's such a beltway conversation. But people are not, in every group chat I'm in, people aren't like, oh my God, let's talk about Hunter Biden. I think people are just looking for relief. And so the whole, I don't think everyone always understands the power that the structure created, the power that the Democratic Party itself has. So my thought is like, disrupt the infrastructure of the political system. And I was warned that I would feel this way, because I will tell you, I am deep into Asada right now, a recommendation that Angela made, and I'm deep into it. And it's just making me more enraged. So I don't look at this like, this autopsy of the Democratic Party. I got to tell you, I feel like it's as many white supremacists as we all know in the Democratic Party. I get so grossly offended every time I hear one of them come out who's supposed to be an ally and say something completely tone deaf. Like, you look at Target, for example. Like, all the Black people were protesting Target. How many white women did y'all see protesting Target and posting about it?
I saw one with a Target bag and I was ready to fight her. I feel ashamed to say it, but I was like,
that's what I'm saying.
What you doing?
Like, we stand alone. Yeah. We stand alone. And so when you look at like a majority of elected members in Congress are white people. And they are still, this is why the Epstein thing gets on my nerves. Because it's like, you all keep thinking that, oh, this is our opportunity to get them back. And it's so offensive because I'm like, why the are y'all always running after MAGA voters? Like, tell me how you're going to appeal to me. Tell me how you're addressing my problem. But you're so excited that you'll get to break up the MAGA cult. And you spending your energy playing the guitar, running around on every TV show. But the shit that's impacting us the hardest I don't, where are the social media stunts for that? Like where, and not that I want to see that either, but like, where is the plan of action for that? So I don't know. I'm happy to hear from Hunter Biden just because he's a personality, you know, and I think that he has insight that a lot of people don't have. I just don't know. Okay, so we know that they didn't want Kamala Harris as the nominee. I just don't know what it gets us, like what it serves us. I'm telling you, I'm on something. I probably should have waited to read this book, but I'm on something altogether. When you start hearing about like the details of what this government does to us, and I know we're gonna talk about Breonna Taylor. I was gonna wait to even mention Asada until we got to Breonna Taylor, but I don't know, y'all. I don't know how y'all, like you all are talking about the politics of it. I'm curious, how do you feel hearing that? Like, how do you feel in this moment of knowing that this autopsy is even taking place? Like, does it move you anyway?
No, but I do think it's important for us to understand, like, I'm not talking about this like, oh, this could be good for the party, me. I'm talking about for the party, it. Like, there has to be something that they do that is markedly different than what they're doing right now. And I do think
copycat. They're basically playing copycat. I mean, it's like, where did the Trump people scatter to? Let's go to that corner.
That's what it feels like. I wasn't saying you're saying, Angela, but you're saying they have to. Do you think they're going to?
No, but I don't know. But all I can say is in where I grew up in politics professionally. So what I know is to tell you like, oh, this will work or this won't work. And what I also know right now is everything that I would have typically guided people to do won't work in this moment. Because politics as usual is gone. It is politics is as unusual AF, right? So to me, I'm like, all right, well, if we, and by this we mean now, I mean like, as Vince would say, those who represent the politics of goodwill are to say and do anything right now, it means there's a broad coalition of people that have to get together to fight against evil. If we can even agree on what evil is. There are reformers. There are people who are, you know, institutionalists. I would put Andrew there, you know, who believe in the institution and want to uphold it and fix it. The reformers who are somewhere a little bit to the left of that, socialists, and then the anti-Trumpers. All of those folks have to come together to preserve or to rebuild whatever is going to be whatever happens next. Now, nobody could do anything. We could just sit here and watch it all burn, but we are going to be on fire first. We're already on fire. So I don't feel...
So Hunter... No, please finish your point. You don't feel...
I don't feel like I want to watch it burn. I feel like I got this Harriet Tubman chain on my neck for a reason. Like, I'm ready. I'll set it on fire, but I'm not about to watch it burn and it catch my people on fire. So I am of the school of thought, if there are some people who are willing among us to tell the truth, to say that they want to see something happen differently, I'm with them. I'm with them 100%. If they're not there, I'm not just like, oh, there's nothing we can do. I don't believe that. I believe there's a lot we can do. And I believe
I'm with to set it on fire, but I don't know what we can do that can stop. Like I keep going back to this, like all these things that are happening. It feels like it's a lot of shuffling papers and energy, but I'm like, what has happened that we're stopping something that because of this thing, this stops? It could. And Andrew, the last time I said this, you gave a few examples and it's like, oh, you know, that's true. That's a really good point. Because I also don't want to discourage people from doing what they feel like they should be doing. But I am looking like, damn, y'all, I think we in for a long night. Yeah. Like I think like I see what's coming and I think we are in for a maybe pre or post Reconstruction existence in this country. Yeah. And even just, I'm not going to talk about this every week. I swear I won't. But even reading Asada, when you hear about what this woman went through, and shame on me for just now reading it all these decades later. But when you read about what this woman went through, it wasn't that long ago. You know, like how the government works against us. When you look at how the government is literally targeting Black women right now, targeting our livelihood, targeting our income. And that's not to leave out Black men. Black men, I love y'all. People always telling me, why you so hard on Black men? I'm not hard on Black men. I love y'all too. I'm just looking at who is getting hammered the worst right now. And it's Black women. And I just feel like, how can we stop this? 300,000 Black women out of work. What was the policy that we could have done to stop that? 500,000 women haven't returned to the workforce since COVID, the end of Trump's first administration. What could we have done? What might we have done to stop that? The best thing you said to me, Angela, is I'm not going to watch it burn. I'll set it on fire, but I'm not going to watch it burn. I'm kind of right there. Like I'm like, yeah, we might set some things on fire. I don't know. I'm still working it out in real time.
Yeah.
But that's how
and
I feel.
Just so we're clear, we're not talking about the violent destruction in a riot. Like, we have to be clear about that. We're just talking about the things that have caused us harm, that have done us poorly. We're going to get rid of those things. We're going to shine a light on them.
We're speaking in allegory.
Yes, we have to say that because we apparently is some slow people among us. Andrew,
and the stupid FA. I'm trying to be smart and can't spell it. The FAEUX news station loves to clip things out of context.
Faux.
Not the fakes, but the fakes works too. It could be FAEX.
The FUX news station.
They love to clip our stuff.
Thank you,
y'all. Yeah. Next time, just make sure you say follow them at Native Land Pod. Maybe we'll convert some of your viewers. Andrew, you were gonna say something 15 minutes ago.
I had a lot of thoughts running through my mind, but I will say, when we began talking about Hunter Biden, I wasn't actually viewing him through the political lens, but I do see the opportunity moment for him to be able to have some impact on, I think, a party whose members, by and large, have good intention. However, big picture, are completely void of a plan. And the plan worries me less than where the passion is. And I just feel like, as institutionalists and as protectors of the regime as it exists today, Democrats have become quite uninspiring and frankly boring. Very, very default. It's like, if you don't do anything, these things are going to keep happening. It's like, tomorrow will come, and you do nothing, and the day after that, there will be the day after tomorrow. Nobody's inspired by that assembly line. Nobody is inspired by the mathematics that has basically become Black people, you're a transaction. Because you can rely on a group of Black folks and Black women and Black men, but Black people, for a certain turnout by percent in the polls, but you get frustrated when their voices begin to be heard. When we start to raise our voice, when we start to protest against a party agenda, a platform that doesn't reflect our values, where we stand. Now, when that happens, you're a distraction. You're taking from the opportunity moment here. Why don't you just go somewhere? We'll deal with that another day. We'll have our chance to sit around and powwow about that. And that day never comes, and it never, ever becomes a part of the bloodstream of the organization, the Democratic Party. It is always an appendage. Black people are always just outside the body. Women are treated just outside the body until you want to debate about their bodies, and then their central focus. But do we really mean it? So worse than not having a plan, and maybe don't start sending me no emails and Excel spreadsheets, because that's the problem. Y'all are addicted to that stuff. And what is absent from me is, where's the heart? Where's the nerve? Where is the stuff that's keeping you up at night? Because if it truly is keeping you up at night, your comportment could not be contained in this moment. Right? So their rhetoric doesn't match their behavior. And it makes it impossible to believe in them, because you doubt whether they believe in themselves. Nobody wants to follow that. So I share your frustration, Tiff. I'm, at the end of the day, going to be the pragmatist and basically say, so long as these are the people who are negotiating how we exist in this space, we need to have a weight on that thing. And that doesn't mean we don't start filling some other buckets too. But it absolutely means we do not unilaterally disarm.
Yeah.
Well, can I say something I thought was really interesting last week? You and Angela disagreed about a path forward, and I found myself conflicted because I'm like, I actually think, Andrew, you have a point, but damn, Angela, I actually see what you're saying. And I read the comments, and I thought the comments would be all one way or another. I didn't know which way, but I'm like, I think generally on this one. And I was, I'll take that back. I thought more people were going to agree with Angela. I thought people overwhelmingly were going to agree with Angela. And what I saw was it was really split. Like people were really like, no, Andrew has a point. Like you make them do every possible thing. And then other people were like, yes, Andrew is an institutionalist. We need to like fight, and fire. And it was really interesting to me to see, because really I was just looking for my name and it wasn't even there. It was all
Blessed Lord. Transparency.
It was all Andrew. But people had a lot of thoughts and feelings about it. And I just thought, wow, what an interesting snapshot. Obviously, it's not an official poll. It's not a scientific poll. But what an interesting snapshot of where we are in this moment, that this nuanced argument that you guys were having, these nuanced points that you were making, people felt so strongly.
It did feel a little sedative, like when we were in it. But
well, you know what though? It is the argument and the discussion that people are having everywhere. They're having it in party, out of party, on the Hill, in the congressional offices, in caucus meetings, on their TV, arguing with the TV. It is where we are because people don't know what to do. Because every formula that you would typically go to is not working in this moment. I'm gonna tell you another thing that happened last week we didn't talk about because it was the same day of our show. I was in New York. I did Breakfast Club, and Leonard asked me about Barack Obama and his comments at this closed door fundraiser. I'm bringing up a point. It's gonna tie right back to Hunter. In this closed door meeting, Barack Obama said that the Democrats are behaving like cowards, right? And then the question was, what do I think about what he's saying? For me, and I still feel this way, people dragged me for filth. People who are my friends went into the comments because they saw the Breakfast Club header, didn't hear what I said, just heard that I said Barack Obama needs to do more or something, which is not what I said. I made them take that down and like correct it because I was like, this isn't accurate and it's reaping more havoc. It didn't even matter because people were still mad that you could say, don't you ever say nothing bad about Barack Obama. Doesn't even have to be bad. It's just a criticism to me of what is. So from my purview, I'm going somewhere. From my purview, I promise you,
I'm with you. We following you.
When we go to the Hunter Biden piece and the fact that Barack Obama was in the room having conversations about who should be the nominee. And Kamala Harris was not on his list. I'm aware of that. It's the fact that Barack Obama does have these meetings with Washington-based journalists, ensuring that people are speaking a certain language and about policy in a certain way. It is the fact that Donald Trump just this week posts a video of an AI video of Barack Obama being arrested in the Oval, right? So when I say that I expect more of them in this moment, that this Nobel Peace Prize winner, where we would have had the same type of expectations of Nelson Mandela in South Africa, I should not be dragged for saying that I expect for you to call fascism, right? So for me, it's just interesting that in this moment where we know we know of things that people don't know, but it's like, if you talk about the man who's on my church fan, if you talk about the man who rolls his sleeves up and goes to the rally and smooth, sing Amazing Grace, at Mother Emanuel after this horrible massacre, I can't hold space for the fact that he does some things well and some things need correction. And that's frustrating to me.
That's fair.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You can't say I'm going somewhere. We're like, no, we wherever you going, we with you. We on the train with you.
I was just like, I was taking a minute to get there. That's all.
Well, I didn't see the clip, and I didn't see the comments, but I think there is some protection of Obama, and I think people look for clickbaits and they enjoy the anonymity of social media to make these comments sometimes. And I think because I get that on this show, all of us probably get that on this show, where it's like, why are you criticizing Democrats? Like MAGA is the only space that we should be criticizing right now. And I understand that perspective too. So I'm not faulting anybody for any of these.
No, if we don't do it right now, Lord Jesus, another election's going to come around and we still going to be in la la land.
This is my point.
You have to have
I'm like,
the tough and the honest conversations now. It's too late in an election cycle.
I precisely, Andrew. Precisely. Like now, and it is not only our right but responsibility to critique our leaders.
I agree.
And, you know, Obama, Black folks overwhelmingly showed up for Obama. Black people put this man in office. And I understand the feeling that there is a debt owed. And I think your frustration with Obama, Angela, is the frustration that many of us have with just U.S. institutions across the board. It's not just Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, you could take that and go across Democratic leadership from our friends and otherwise. So my only thing is, let's have that heat for everybody.
That's right.
You know, I mean, they were asking you a specific question, but no, we ought to have that heat for everybody. If you can't stand up, first of all, anytime we talk about, in the news media, on Capitol Hill, wherever, anytime we talk about Stephen Miller, who designed this whole ICE plan, it should be introduced that Stephen Miller, the white nationalist, who was behind, and then go wherever you want to go. But we should not be talking about him as though he's not a white nationalist, like because it makes people uncomfortable or because it's not polite language. We should not be talking about Melania Trump ever and not talk about the fact that she was a nude model and a birther.
Yeah.
It's factually accurate to say these things, and everyone has capitulated to a system of whiteness, a system that prioritizes white comfort, white language, everything. And respectfully to President Obama, who I think we all love and adore, both he and Michelle Obama. But I think respectfully to them, there are a significant amount of people who are looking, saying help, say something,
say
call
anything.
out something. We love your podcast, but we don't want to hear about, some nebulous thing when people are dying, when people are being disappeared by their government, when Black women are joining the bread lines.
Yes.
So it's not so much like we're shitting on them. We're saying like, hey, we still need you. And I don't know if you guys remember that clip from Michelle Obama when she said that she's done with like, I'm not going to endorse another candidate. I'm not going to get out there on the campaign trail. I don't begrudge that in her because what I hear is hurt.
Yeah.
Like I hear pain and disgust in her. And that is the feeling I have. So it's hard for me to hear that and criticize because I'm like, girl, I get it. Like, I get why you didn't go to inauguration.
But isn't there a difference between...
I want to separate the two of them, by the way.
Okay, fair.
I think they are not in the same bucket.
I agree.
At all.
I agree.
In part because one of them signed up for a thing and the other signed up to be a support and a helpmate and a rib to that thing. To the man pursuing that thing.
Yeah.
And I think she is Lord knows if she don't live now, when will she live? Right? They are no longer sitting in that Oval. She doesn't have to put up with nonsense 24/7 if she don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And so live your bestest life, as far as I'm concerned, forever First Lady. Barack Obama have a different set of expectations for the man who got in the arena.
Well, what are your thoughts and expectations of Obama then?
Folks.
But, and then
are you mad at him?
I want to put this in here real quick. She does have an organization though, also called When We All Vote. So is she gonna? Right. So I just want to be clear about she.
But if she decided to do none of it,
I'm just saying you volunteer for
I ain't got
some,
no problems with her.
And I'm not saying you gotta endorse candidates. But I beg you to not just drop a Tiger Woods documentary when this man is dating a Trump spouse or a former Trump spouse. And Tiger was just at the White House for the Black History Month thing for Trump.
Now you missed
and got a medal from
Well,
Trump.
this how can I just say
a
this
lot
how I
can
felt
be
about
true
Gail
at one time.
This how I felt about Gail King with some of the stuff she said, but that's a whole other story. But I just feel like sometimes when you get into those spaces, you become so disconnected from community that you miss the moment. That your tone
Y'all
is
know my
completely
thoughts
off.
on
Now
power.
I'm struggling on Gail. What did Gail do with Trump?
We talked about this.
Well, she was talking about Bezos, I assume.
Yes, they are.
I'm talking about Trump.
No, she was basically giving the examples of these folks in their proximity.
Oh, proximity to power generally.
They are at
Jeff
the power
Bezos
center.
is like funding a lot of this Trumpism. Like he is a supporter. Anyway, that's a
And if
whole
nothing
other-
else, he's absolutely complicit in the
Yes.
whitewashing of the story.
And they had the
right?
wedding,
On the
cheers
pages of
in,
the
and-
Washington Post.
And when Gail got in the camera, it was like, have you ever been to space? If you ain't never
Don't
been
start,
to space,
Tiff.
we
Tiff,
like,
we
whoa.
going backwards, Tiff. We going back.
But these
Okay,
folks,
okay.
these folks
Michelle
are on another
Obama and Barack
planet.
Obama.
Yes.
Gayle King has
Yeah.
I'm
exited
just
the conversation.
drawing. Fine. I want to hear from Andrew your thoughts on Obama because I
He
will
was
keep
trying,
going.
and I went off on
Yes,
a Tiger.
our bad, Andrew. What's
But
your
my
thoughts
point
on
about
Obama?
Tiger was they're doing the documentary. Okay,
But
go.
why could she bring up Tiger and I can't bring up
Because
Gail?
they're
But fine.
doing the documentary. Their message to the world right now is y'all better check out this biopic.
Okay, fair. I'll get off Gail.
I can't.
There are a lot of moments
And by
happening
there,
at
I
once,
mean
y'all.
Barack
Go
and
ahead,
Michelle
Andrew.
Obama's production company higher
No.
ground. Okay, I'm done. Andrew,
Yes.
I'm going on mute. I'm on mute.
Andrew, what are your thoughts on
But
Obama?
they could do that. They could do that all day long. I don't have no beef with it because they were precluded from doing it before, and they're not the grifters in chief like the Trumps who are sitting in office, stealing out loud. Barack and Michelle, the Obamas respectively, are working for they work for their stuff. They earn their stuff. But should the president again continue to be involved in the machinations of what ultimately we're all going to have to confront, whether that is who ought to be running in the primary, who they plan to support, who are they giving legs to behind the scenes, and then who are they trying to kneecap behind the scenes? If you're going to be in that level of conversation and maneuvering of our politics, then my request, would simply be, one, I want you to have as much heat for other communities as you have for our own. When you do a takedown, my brother, and you want to make a message point clear to us, you have a way of delivering it, and we have a way of receiving it and then reacting to it. But I never seem to sense that same heat when it comes to the white liberal elite, when it comes to the liberal white donors, what they give money to, and how their qualifications are only in the field of having given to these areas and never in the experience of having been a practitioner.
That's a good ass point,
You
Andrew.
think because you give money to a politician does not make you an analyst. It doesn't make you a strategist. It doesn't make you a campaign manager. It makes you probably a good campaign contributor and loyal supporter if you can manage that much. And if you're organizing, knocking on doors outside of that, that's great. But we have given way too much power to this very liberal elite on the Democratic side, and nobody calls them to the carpet. I want Hunter Biden from heretofore in those rooms. Again, thinking about ways in which he can help impact. Tell the goddamn truth. So yes, if you're going to be in those rooms, then carry it with the full weight and responsibility that you have as a former president and a leader and a visionary for our party. 2, don't throw no damn grenades and hide your hand. 3, please be honest with the people. Tell them that a thing is a thing and that we should not pretend not to know what we all know. Just call it.
4, Andrew Gillum should be in those rooms
Every time.
Yeah,
Every time.
I think it's really unfortunate, and this could be Andrew's choice. I don't know, so I'm not volunteering you, but I do feel like the insight that you have, a ground game, a field game, communication, an understanding of policy.
Tiff, they don't want to hear from me, and let me tell you why. They still are treating my race like an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime one of us do something that is extra than the ordinary, it's treated as cult of personality, very singular in its impact. And we almost always never, ever learn the lessons, the right lessons from a race like the one that we had. Because what did they do right after is they went right back to the former Republican, dressed them up, as best they can again as a Democrat, threw all the money that they could at least harness at that time, trying to out-conservative a conservative. And when Republicans have a choice between the real thing and the fake one, they go with the real one every time. And I'm also willing to bet when Democrats who are voters are out there, when we have a choice between the real thing and the fake one, we go with the real one all the time. And so if you're still treating 2018 in Florida like it was an anomaly, the closest race we've gotten short of winning,
we did win.
And that they're not important lessons to take from it, that you're going to revert every cycle afterwards back to the conservative Democrat, usually white, usually male, model, who is going to get you the same. You see, I'm
while you're choking, I just want to point out that Tiff, the people where Tiff is agree with what Andrew's saying so bad they can't hear him and they are an amen corner. So we just want to shout them out.
Behind her.
Can you hear the people? I'm about to go. No, can we take a quick production time? No, don't. I'm getting annoyed.
Don't do it.
It's
so okay. It's gonna be.
I couldn't even hear it.
Like of all the places you could be, like I'm
Tiff,
on here.
Please don't snap on this man. I'm telling you, we played it off good. It's good.
I think they can hear you.
I'm about
don't to, snap. You ain't got but 5% left on your computer.
Listen, I got Bonnie and I got Clyde,
and neither one of them hoes work.
Give me 2 seconds. How dare you? Give me 2 seconds.
This is what they work for. You better use your gift.
Watch me.
Oh, shoot.
I'll be right back.
Oh, my God. Look, here she goes. Look.
All right.
We
can get back to business now.
What's your mom and dad say?
Get back to business.
Let me see if you got.
Are we still recording?
Yes, we're recording the whole time. Nick is back.
I just went out and went like that, and he bounced.
Don't commit no crimes on this damn TV station here.
Can I? We can cut this if we want, but I would like to. No, this is something else.
Oh,
we can cut this if we want, but I would like to talk briefly about an email that I just saw.
No, hold on a minute. Let's do that in the mini pod. Let's finish this because one thing we want to do, Andrew, I love what you were saying. I want to go quickly to the points that I believe Tiff was also making about courage. You've always
That's so rude.
Into.
Don't be sending me these emails if you don't want me to talk about
focus. I want to just say that, Andrew, you've always deepened into courage, and your courage isn't always loud and screaming on a bullhorn or anything like that. Not that you're afraid of a bullhorn either. Our brother is a politician, a public servant, and a protester when he needs to be. But I do want to say this. Speaking of the protest and deepening into courage, we had an administration that was willing, at least somewhat, to challenge law enforcement, especially when they were wrong. Breonna Taylor's killer, Brett Hankerson, was just Hankinson was sentenced, despite the Trump's Department of Justice seeking just one day, was sentenced to 33 months in prison for killing a Black woman. And while 33 months is not sufficient, what we know is this is the first time in the federal government's history that it has ever brought a civil rights violation, a federal civil rights violation case to a police officer who's killed a Black woman. And I think it is significant. The sentence sucks, y'all. It is not sufficient. If you take a Black woman's life, you should have to do more than less than 3 years in jail, right? But the fact that they were able to do that, and this damn Department of Justice, Trump's DOJ, takes the case over and wants to essentially get rid of the sentence. What I'm deepening into right now is my frustration that it is more than likely that Donald Trump will pardon this officer, right? So even when you see that justice is finally served, kind of, right? Because we're still only talking about less than 3 years. This is where we are right now. So I want to talk about the need for courage in a time like this too, and what kind of hope can we offer our folks?
I just want to, my sincere prayer is that there is not a single person, and certainly not a single Black woman, who decides to make any meaning of any meaningful nature to the statement that the Trump administration is clearly sending this racist overture, which is not even it's no longer a dog whistle, it's a bullhorn. Yeah. They're straight up yelling it from the mountaintop. This is who we are. Get used to it. The thing they, of course, don't fathom is that we've always known that was who they were. We were playing along, but it's exceedingly clear right now that there ain't nothing about this administration that is intended to protect our human lives or to in any way value us as living, breathing, human contributing members to this society in a most auspicious and significant way. They don't care for us. They do not value our lives. This is not news, I hope, for anybody on the listening side of this. And I hope that not one of us internalizes what they are attempting to communicate to us as anything meaning more than what we've always known it to be. They're diabolical. And so this is the kind of thing you would expect from a diabolical people, is the recommendation that Breonna Taylor's life, regardless of the fact that this officer fired indiscriminately with no view into the home, through the windows, through the doors, through the walls, and could have killed anybody. Could have killed anybody, a child in that room, her partner. They don't value us. But I don't have the expectation that they ever will. What we have to do is continue to position ourselves so that we can continue to bend this moral arc. Right? And hopefully, y'all, will be able to be on the receiving end of our body's work. But like so much is true about our ancestors, most didn't become beneficiaries of what they labored.
Tiff, we've been saying, say her name in response to making sure they don't forget the name of the person whom they killed. And all we're seeking is for people to be able to say our name so we can turn the corner and enter the room, right? To be seen alive. So I would love to hear your thoughts about, where the judge ended with this sentence and what the Trump administration was actually seeking with for that one day.
Well, what's interesting, hopefully we'll have a guest on soon in the coming weeks from the DOJ, from Biden's DOJ. But what's interesting about this is the way the DOJ has been reconfigured, particularly when you look at the Office of Civil Rights, but also just through and through. Even as you look at how they're eroding the U.S. government, all agencies where there was an overwhelming amount of Black women represented were disproportionately defunded. The DOJ, where the staff of people of color, I think is like less than 1%, or not less than 1%, I'm sorry, is mostly white men. They cut funding by less than 1% at the DOJ, and they have reconfigured it to classify white people as the
aggrieved.
Precisely. They have reconfigured
the aggrieved class
to classify white people as the aggrieved class. And so when the sentencing, when initially when they were asking for a one-day sentence, I've lost my ability to be shocked. I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Of course.
We talk often on this show that the courts will not hold. Donald Trump appointed over 200, mostly white men, mostly legally inept people to lifetime appointments. Now, Joe Biden surpassed that, so there's some hope. I just don't know that is going to save us. And so I'm not surprised at any of this, Angela. I've been hearing, I haven't followed closely, but I have been hearing the chatter that he will likely pardon this officer. We've also talked about this with Derek Chauvin, which I know there are state charges there. So I can't stomach all of it. I can't take the incoming all the time. But the constant message that we're getting in this country are Black women don't matter. Our bodies don't matter. And it's not, I'm saying Black women in particular, not including Black men, because we sit at the intersection of the sexism that we see and the racism that we see. Our bodies do not matter when it comes to health issues that disproportionately impact Black women. Who gives a shit? There are no funding for that. No pink ribbons for things that disproportionately impact us. When it comes to our income, our finance level. And for this particular woman, I would encourage anybody, if you haven't, to please read what happened the night Breonna Taylor was killed, murdered. Ta-Nehisi Coates did a great article. I think it was for Vanity Fair. But if you Google Ta-Nehisi Coates and Breonna Taylor, he talks to her mom, and her mom walks through what happened that night. Her mom, for hours, did not know that her daughter was dead. For hours, nobody talked to her. She was going from one location to the next asking, well, can somebody give me an update on my daughter? are losing our children doesn't matter. So these are the things that are making me despondent. And I just want to add this piece. I wish everybody would read Assata with me because I want to talk about it all the time. But when Assata Shakur was in the hospital bed after being falsely accused, beaten, bloodied, chained to a bed, and these things still happen. They still chain Black women. If you're pregnant, in labor, doesn't matter. They chain you to a bed. The police officers will come and punch her in her wounds. And they would also take their fingers and stab her in the eye with their fingers with a hot substance on it. So her eyes would burn so she couldn't see. And there is physical violence that we endure. But what we're talking about with Breonna Taylor is the structural violence that we endure. I don't know how we survive this. We will survive it. Not everybody, though. I keep reminding people of that. Like, yeah, we survived civil rights. Not everybody. We survived enslavement, but not everybody. And so she was somebody who didn't survive this moment. And to relive this now, it's just, I'm filled with so much rage and sadness. Yeah. Sadness first. And the sadness falls into a callus of rage. I don't know what to do, guys. I really don't. I don't know what happens next. What will we do if they pardon the police officer? Then what comes next? Are we going to riot again? And I will tell you, they can clip it if they want to. I am a person, I believe that riots are a language that get a response. And under this administration, I don't know. But I don't know that holding hands and singing Kumbaya gets the same response as fucking up the white man's money. I'm not encouraging rioting because at this point, they can turn the military against us and start shooting. But I just don't know where do we take our outrage?
I mean, I think we have to, stop pretending is normal.
Yeah.
I think we have to, I think each offense has to be treated with the level of seriousness that we feel it. If we had no reaction to a pardon by this president of this murderous man of Black women, shame on us. Because we then create a permission structure by which they can do the shit again and again and again with no anticipation for a pushback from us. So no, we have to be righteously indignant this time and every time, because say their names mean the names keep changing. A new target, a new person, a new family, a new child, spouse, mother is impacted. So every time we have to show rage, every time, so that they know that they can't keep passing this way with no pushback. You can't keep doing this thing, thumping us on the head and thinking that you're not going to get pushed and punched in the throat next time because they don't consider us. So yes, we must respond, but this response has to be tilted toward accountability. So however we show our anger, yes, let's do it. But we need to know when accountability day is coming.
Yeah. And I think
who we throwing
and
out.
On that, sorry, Tiff, on accountability day is coming, and our accountability is the show's gonna wrap very soon. We got to do calls to action, but before we get there, we're gonna take a quick time out so Tiff can say yes.
I was just about to say, can we go? Because my computer
about to die. So yes. For those of you
and I'm gonna hang on until it dies.
Okay, and Tiff is if y'all are watching and listening at home, Tiff's computer's hanging on by a very thin thread. So we're gonna have Tiff's call to action first, just in case she don't make it through.
Get disappeared.
My call to action is just to stay sane, not to let them steal our imagination. I don't have a meteor call to action because I've been so caught up in trying to run from depression and sadness and the darkness. And even that is exhausting, you know? It's like you feel the heaviness coming on. And I am reading less papers these days and more books and just trying to spend my time just in the light and not so much in the darkness. So if y'all have any tips for me or tips that y'all do to just keep yourself sane these days, I remain open. I'm not a spa person. Everybody go to the spa. I'm not a spa person, but anything that you're doing that's keeping you from stealing on the next person that says something
found on them. Getting found on.
Getting found on. That's how I feel. And just because I have the mic, I just want to say a really quick congratulations to Demario Solomon Simmons, who won his case against the Creek Nation.
Yes.
It was a situation where the
Awesome.
indigenous community was denying Black Creek Nation members membership. And
Yeah.
so in this victory, he's literally saving lives because they will have access to life-saving benefits just as the government is taking them away. Angela will correct me if I got any of that wrong legally.
No,
but
you're
I think
right.
I
And
got
they're a
it.
sovereign
Yes.
nation.
Yes.
They're a sovereign nation within a nation.
And Demario
So
will
their
likely join
whole
us next week. AG, what you got?
We
I
hope.
love it. We got it. Okay, mine real quick is I was asked yesterday, what is the advice that I'm giving my sons in light of the latest incident that was made public? It dates back to February, but in Duval County, Jacksonville, Florida, where the young man was roughed up, punched in the face. The police hit out the window, all because he was asking what was legally allowable for him to ask, which is why you pull me over. That's supposed to be the first thing that's declared when you are stopped. Is the reason being given? And then, am I under arrest? Or is this a citation? And his basic questions were met with the most brutal attack from law enforcement.
Yeah.
And by the way, y'all, this is all happening under a Black Republican male sheriff who is about as bad as the same creatures that he basically said acted within the authority and the scope of their responsibility as a law enforcement entity. So I would just say we have to revisit what advice we are giving our children. It used to be pretty form that we knew how to comport ourselves around law enforcement. And my Cliff Notes version of what I'm telling my kids is basically, we're going to get the justice. You believe that. But in this moment, I need you to survive. And so these are the things that we're going to pay attention to for survival. And then daddy and mama and our village will get justice on the other side of you surviving this incident.
Yeah.
And I just would like folks to revisit this conversation with their children.
Yeah. Can I make a request? Because this is such it's all over social media. People have been talking about it. I think it deserves more conversation than the CTA. So maybe this is something we can talk about on a mini pod or a later episode. But would love to revisit this because the pain, even in your voice, Andrew, of saying, and so many parents say that, like, I just want you to come home. It doesn't matter what, like, let me deal with it. You come home. So I would love to pick that up if we can.
Cosign.
It is definitely a weighty and emotional topic, again, especially given the backdrop of Breonna Taylor and how that situation could have gone for Mr. McNeil Jr., I believe is his name. Speaking of the village that Andrew just brought up, I want to deepen us into what it means to stand up mutual aid networks. You can start with your neighborhood and your pods. Who are the people, when it all goes down, if the electricity goes out, that you're going to talk to make sure that everybody's safe in your neighborhood, in your family? What are the phone numbers you know by heart? Where are the places where you can go? Say, I can pick blackberries up my street, but I can't pick much else. So I got to figure out some other solutions. I want you to think about your neighborhood pods and who has what gifts and talents. Are there 5 people that you can call on who do different things? Is there somebody who fixes things, who knows how to be handy if the electricity goes out? Someone who has a military background that can help you with some basic survival instincts? Who can help y'all organize emergency bags to go, a water supply, emergency food? The other thing that I would suggest is tapping into the local farmers in your area and figuring out some type of bartering system. This sounds like doomsday, Armageddon, and end of the world. And I will tell y'all, the reason why this is top of mind for me is my mom and I were waiting for my dad to meet us at this restaurant the other day in Madison Park in Seattle. The electricity completely went out. And my mom looks at me and she says, Ange, they attacked the grid. And she was convinced, right? Our phones weren't working. Nothing was working. So what I'm saying to you is this is closer than it may appear. And again, don't want you to be doomsday, but I do want you to be prepared. There was a very cheesy, awful slogan that came from Secretary Chertoff under George Bush the first Department of Homeland Security Secretary. He said, "Be prepared, not scared." This is going to be the first and last time you ever hear me quote Secretary Chertoff. But I do think that is indeed the point. And so if we can get prepared and know that we will survive, Andrew, to your point, I think that we'll be all right.
Can I make a quick fact check? You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Tom Ridge was the first DHS secretary.
Oh, I think you're right.
It may have been
You're
Ridge.
Right. Yeah. You're right. I forgot about him.
And then Chertoff.
Michael Chertoff was prepared, not scared. But he was still under
I do remember that.
George W. Bush. But you're right. Yes. Tom Ridge you're correct. My bad.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania governor.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But yes,
fact check.
I do. When you
Bottom
said
line,
Chertoff,
get your bags. Get your bags.
I ain't heard that name Chertoff in so long, and I forgot all about that. That's how old we getting, y'all. Because I'm like, I do remember that.
Just the other
Angela,
day.
you're saying don't be doomsday, don't be scared. I'm like, I don't know, girl. Like, I think we should be a little. We should just be prepared.
I think that there's a different, and maybe this is just the distinction I should make. I think there's one thing to be clear-eyed about what we're up against. I think there's another. Doomsday to me means, well, forget it. There's nothing we could do. We're just going to die, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I'm saying, no, here are some tactical things that you can do that may feel, because when I'm saying establish a mutual aid network, well, what does that really mean?
Yes,
so if you can identify 5 people in your neighborhood, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, you guys can hold me accountable to this. I don't talk to none of my neighbors, so I'm going to have some work to do. But we may be in a situation we got to lean on each other. So just say, hey, y'all, I don't know what your gifts are. I can cook. I don't know if you guys got one of them little burners that operate on the fire outside. I can hook y'all up in that regard. I got some cast irons, right? Like, what can we do?
For real.
Who was in the military? Who, worked for the federal government and does whatever it is. Who knows how to do code? Who got a satellite phone? Whatever it is, just find your tribe and rock with them.
So many people, when we had the doomsday expert on, so many people were in the comments.
She's a survivalist.
Well, survivalist.
Afro-vivalist.
So many people, Afro-vivalist. So many people were saying, nah, I'm good. I didn't fall long enough. No,
they just ready to die.
Gonna go together.
I'm just going to let it take me. It's going to have to take me.
They like Fred Sanford, Elizabeth.
Coming to join you.
I'm coming home.
They were not feeling it. I don't have a plan, though. When you said that, like, I don't talk to my neighbors, but my only plan, Michael Harriet, who I am
what if you can't
so
get on the plane and you don't drive?
That's what I'm thinking. But I'm so proud and jealous because Michael Harriet, his book is over a year old and it keeps popping up on the New York Times bestseller list. They have never, Michael and his wife have never invited me to their home. They've never said, Tiffany, come stay with us. And I've been there about 5 times now. So they are my doomsday plan. Like if I can't get on the plane, I don't know. I'm gonna have to drive. I'm gonna have to hitchhike.
You have to walk. You like walking here. You got to walk to Georgia.
I will walk.
But y'all, we're saying doomsday because it seems so rare and like going to happen during our lifetime. But as you rightly, I think, were leading us to, Angela, the assaults, the attacks are less militarized, going forward and into the future. These are much more what we might think as benign, but they're logistics. It's airplane traffic. And those satellites being shuttered, and then pilots not knowing whether they're going into the sky or into the ocean. It is traffic signalization that much of it cooperates on a grid system. It's power plants being not shuttered. They can continue to operate, but all of the calculations around its output are shuttered. And so you basically end up creating nuclear bombs out of these facilities that are then generating too much if they don't have a fail-safe turn-off. You're talking about, I know we're cutting out of here, but I just want folks to know this is not so remote a set of possibilities as we might think. These are logistical. It feels like everyday benign. But just think about what happens when you can't get water out at the sink because it's been contaminated because somebody manufactured and played with the formulas of the water threshold that your city holds. Right.
Plenty of people, like millions of people, are going through that right now. And I know we've got to hop. So I just want to say the doomsday clock. If you're not familiar, it's a symbol that represents the estimated likelihood of some sort of man-made global catastrophe. And a lot of people follow the doomsday clock. The doomsday clock right now says it is 89 seconds until midnight. So it shifts. Yeah, it shifts as it assesses threats. And as of, I think, January 2025, 89 seconds to midnight. So on that happy note, thanks for tuning in to Native Land.
And we'd like to remind you all, if you have a video that is, of course, Tiff's favorite time during the show, we want you to send in your video with your comments. It could be a little bit of shade to us, Miss Cross, Angela. It could also be a question that you have for us. We'd love to engage with you all. It is your home, too, so we want to hear from you. You can DM it to us at Native Land Pod on Instagram. And we would love to receive those videos from you. And we also want to remind you to please leave us a review. Subscribe to Native Land Pod. We're available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. If you're looking for something else to watch or listen to, check out our other Reason Choice shows that include our good sister friend Jamel Hill with Politics and political correspondent S.E. Cup, who has Off the Cup. Be sure to check those out. And don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our text or email list on nativelandpod.com. Also, I wanted to shout out Noah, who was on with us last week on our mini pod. He also is new to our network. We are Angela Ride, Tiffany Cross, and Andrew Gillum. Tiffany's computer is still working, so we gonna keep going. Welcome home, y'all. There are 467 days, allegedly, until midterm elections.
Welcome home, everybody.
Thank you for joining the natives. Intentional with the info on all of the latest. Rod, Gillum, and Cross connected to the statements that you leave on our socials. Thank you sincerely for the patience. Reason for your choice is clear. We're so grateful. Took the oath to execute roles. Yeah, faithful. Preserve, defend, and protect the truth, even if painful. Welcome home to all of the natives. We thank you.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.